Hey, what's up, guys? Purpose Driven Live Sports. I'm back here for some more NBA news. So, before I talk more about Summer League and another team or teams that I'm looking into and players as well, I want to let you guys know that Sean Livingston for the Warriors has been waived, and I think he's still considering playing, but also the Warriors have offered him a chance to be in the front office instead of playing. If he decides to retire, they're going to offer him a chance to be in the front office, which I think that's a perfect idea because of Sean Livingston's presence in the organization. You know, he knows all the young guys. He was there when the culture really started back in Steve Kerr's first year, and he's kind of been the staple. You know, the veteran who kind of is just there, making sure to keep everything calm. So I like his presence on that team. I think if he does retire, that'd be actually a great option for him. Just sit back, retire, be like an assistant coach or maybe player development, things of that nature. That's probably what they would offer him. But for summer league, I was talking to you guys yesterday about the New Orleans Pelicans, Jackson Hayes, who has just I don't listen. I already told you guys how athletic he is. He jumps out the gym. He's looking like he's going to be a great defensive player in this league already. But one thing I did forget to mention was this team, the Boston Celtics. Their summer league team is stacked and loaded. So they have Grant Williams out of Tennessee. They have Robert Williams, who came from Texas A&M the year before last year. So he's drafted last year, actually. They got Taco Fall from, I think it was VCU. No, UCF. They got him from the University of Central Florida. They got another player I really like. Dang, I forgot his name, guys. It's gonna come back to me, but he's 6'1", but this guy can really score with the best of them. I really like Taco Fall because he's 7'7". I think he's about 300 pounds. Like he's a really big dude. But he just stands there. He blocks shots. He doesn't have to get off the ground to dunk. Like he just stands there, and just puts his hand over the rim. Yeah, he's that great of a player. I think that Carson Edwards from Purdue. He's the point guard for the Boston Celtics. That's his name. He was a guy in college who was just scoring off the charts. He was a great scorer. I think he was an underrated playmaker, but his main calling card was the scoring, and he was really small, so he was challenging on defense. But to me, small guys, if they really actually put their mind to it, like a Kyle Lowry, for example, can actually be great defenders if you're 6'1", even under 6'1". Think of Muggsy Bogues, who was 5'3", but he was getting over 2 steals a game. John Stockton was 6'1" and under, but he was averaging over 2 steals a game as well. And it's because of their lower center of gravity, they're lower to the ground. And because when you're playing a guy who's taller, who likes to dribble out higher, you're kind of, you can not reach, but you're more adept of quickly getting into his pocket. You can get up into him because he's bigger, and it just makes a taller player uncomfortable. I know this from experience because my personal thing on playing basketball is I love to play defense first. Offensively is great, but defense is kind of what can win you games because it gives you a chance to steal an extra possession. But defensively, I think if he applies that mindset, he could become a great two-way player because of his size. Carson Edwards, he may be 5'11", actually. I don't know how tall he really is, but he's actually really short. He's on the short end of point guards. So this team is stacked. That starting lineup I really like for the Celtics, and I think they're 3-0 in the summer league. So they're playing great basketball. When you put a team like that together, a lot of them are probably going to be those 5 that I said are probably going to be on the regular season roster, especially Taco Fall, because if you can get guys like that, developing in summer league, because like I said, summer league to me is a great way to get players comfortable playing against NBA level competition, mostly second year guys who have come back to play in the summer league. That development can really help you. One player I do wish was playing in the summer league that I heard a couple of days ago was Michael Porter Jr. for the Denver Nuggets. And I remember Michael Porter Jr. from back in high school. I remember his last year, he won. It was up in Washington. And he played for Nathan Hale High School. He played for Brandon Roy, who was the head coach of that team. Man, he was actually number 1 prospect for a long time going into last year's draft. And then, no, it was the year before. He was the number 1 prospect for a long time, and then he wasn't because he got injured and he hurt his back in college. which really sucked because I remember his highlights. He was a natural high flyer. He could dunk the basketball. He had great moves in the post. He was actually a pretty good defender. He a really good rebounder. We never really got to see him defensively because his team was getting a lot of steals because that team was filled with a whole bunch of athletic pieces around him, and especially his brother Jonte Porter, who played with him actually at Missouri, because actually we're going to go to Washington, University of Washington, but then they transferred once his dad got let go. So then they went to Missouri. To me, had he not had those back injuries, he's easily a top 2 pick. That's how talented he was. He probably would have been playing for a Chicago team, maybe the team with the last year's pick, but that's how talented he is. And once again, he got injured this year. It kind of makes me sad because we're not getting to see what he really can become. You hear reports that in practice he's dominating in practice against older guys because of his size. He's 6'10". He's not big on the weight side, but he's 6'10". He's a big guy who can really fly. He's a great shooter. So if there's one guy I really wanted to see in the Summer League, it's definitely Michael Porter Jr. Because I remember watching him back in high school. I watched his whole championship game with my older brother. We watched the whole thing. Watched them beat, I think it was Garfield. So it was a great game. He was actually named the MVP. I think he was he the high school player of the year? He probably was. That's how great that team was. So, man, definitely would have been great to see him. But for the Miami Heat, now I don't know a lot of players on the Miami Heat's team, but there's one player that I do like watching, and it's Tyler Herro. I think you guys have heard me talk about him a lot, actually, but Tyler Herro is actually one of my favorite prospects from going into this year, especially going into his first year in the NBA because of his shooting ability. He's 6'6", but he's a guy to me who he looks very athletic. He's got really long arms. He's long and tall. He's lean. So to me, he's a guy who could actually end up being a really good defender because I like guys who are long, kind of athletic, because then they kind of have that. You have all the tools, but when you play defense, it's really kind of about the mindset. To me, if he just applies a mindset, which from listening to him before, I think he kind of has a mindset where he could do that. I think he could actually be a really good defender. So that's actually what I'm looking for. Another guy in the Summer League that I'm looking to watch is Kyle Guy. I forget which team he's on, but Kyle Guy was a great player for Virginia last year. They won the national title, Virginia Cavaliers. Was actually going for Duke last year, and unfortunately Duke got eliminated before they could. I thought they would have beat Virginia because they already did twice last year, but Virginia was just on another. They were winning games to me that they weren't supposed to win. There was one game they weren't. It was against Texas Tech, I think. Or was it Auburn? No. Right, guys, it was Auburn, where actually their point guard, Ty Jerome, who actually he plays for the Suns, I actually want to see him too in the Summer League because to me, he's 6'5", he's very long too. He's not athletic, but he can shoot the three ball really well, and he's a great defender for a tall guy, for a guy his age. So back to the moment. He dribbled the ball off his legs, and you can't pick the ball back up and dribble, but he actually did, which is actually a double dribble violation. And then, Virginia went on to win. So they beat Texas Tech in the national title game. But all those games with Virginia were very close. It was very entertaining last year in the NCAA tournament. So it's actually just great to see these guys in the league now. But back to Kyle Guy. What he does to me that's just sets him apart really among a lot of guys in this draft is he actually shoots the ball super. He's an excellent three-point shooter. I love his form. He's very fluid. And I'm not even trying to be biased, but when you look at white players in particular, because white players aren't necessarily the most athletic, but what they do a lot better is they got. I'm not saying that most African American players aren't fundamental, but you see a lot of players of Caucasian descent who are excellent shooters. That's why I like watching guys like Steph Curry, who's actually mixed. Klay Thompson, he's mixed. But those are some light-skinned brothers who can shoot. Remember there's one guy. I'm going to tell you guys about the guy in the next video, but I remember Reggie Miller talks about this guy who we did not get to see a lot because he died, I think it was in a car crash, but he said he had one of the quickest releases he's ever seen. Man, I got to look that guy up because I didn't get to see a whole lot of his highlights, but that guy could play. But I mean, I just in this day and age, Steph Curry's been so great to us because he's exposed us to guys who can shoot, getting opportunities like this. Because I mean, back then, before Steph Curry really blew up, shooters only had a certain place for certain teams. Now, if you're a shooter, you can get on the court a lot more and play significant minutes, even if you can't do a lot of other things. Because now you impact the game so much more because of the points you just put on the scoreboard, and you can light up a scoreboard. So it's, the NBA is just, I love how it's diversified. It's so fun to watch. Also, before I leave, because it's probably the end of this video, I'll talk to you guys about some of the players I like. But Kawhi Leonard actually, to my surprise, only signed a 3-year deal with a player option after 2 years. What that basically means is the 2021 free agency class is going to be loaded because LeBron's deal is up that year. Paul George's deal is up that year. And I'm just going to tell you guys, even got, Victor Oladipo's deal is up that year. So all these players, that free agency class is loaded, bro. So it's going to be exciting to watch all those guys. But what this means is that the Clippers really have a 2-year window if they want to do this. And it just signifies that this is the era of the players where this is signifying what they're really made of. So it's so exciting to watch. I love the NBA, the state it is in now. I'm so excited to be playing and watching them, man. Analyzing their games. So that's going to do it for Purpose Driven Life Sports, guys. Thank you again. This is my stuff on the NBA. Actually, the SBs are on tonight. Probably going to tune into that, but it all depends. The SBs aren't really too great to me. It is just basically, handing out sports awards. So, you basically know who's going to win. LeBron's always in contention. Steph Curry. Kawhi Leonard's probably going to win some awards because of his astounding play. So, once again, Purpose Driven Life Sports. Thank you guys for watching. Delivering you guys more NBA news. And I'll talk to you guys later.